Pearson Airport will likely continue today as the investigation into Monday's plane crash continues.
CP24's Courtney joins us live from the airport with more on the investigation. And Courtney, we certainly learned a lot more yesterday, and there's been a recovery of a few pieces of evidence, too.
Yeah, a little bit more information starting to come out this morning, guys. Still, of course, this big question, why did this plane crash on the tarmac here at Pearson Airport? The plane's still here. In fact, we have a live camera in that location this morning. You see the Delta Airlines plane still upside down. We know the Transportation Safety Board has a number of different investigators here, more than 20 investigators here at Pearson Airport, going over the wreckage, getting a sense of what happened and what we know so far. As you mentioned, they've recovered some of the data recorders, the information that would store essentially what happened and what led up to the crash. So we'll stay in touch with the Transportation Safety Board this morning. We don't really anticipate much more of an update, at least today, but we'll certainly see if that changes. In the meantime, though, as you say, here at Pearson Airport, quite a few cancellations and delays. I just had a chance to check on some of the stats. About 5% of arrivals and departures canceled so far. We were warned by the airport CEO yesterday during an update that we can expect to see quite a few cancellations and delays. It's going to take several days for them to get back on track here at the airport, not only because of the crash on Monday, but also because they're still cleaning up from that snowstorm over the weekend. On that, I want to bring in Gabor Lukacs. He's a passenger rights advocate who joins us live this morning. Good morning, Gabor. I want to mention, talking to passengers, many of them quite understanding as to why there have been so many delays here at Pearson, given what happened with the plane crash and the storm over the weekend. But people, of course, are also a little bit frustrated. I'm wondering what your advice would be to somebody showing up at the airport and finding out that their flight may once again be canceled or delayed.
Good morning. The most important part is to document what you see, what you're being told. When your flight is canceled, and let's assume for the sake of argument that this is genuinely weather or genuinely due to the crash, so it's outside the carrier's control, the airline has to rebook you on its own or its partner airlines to depart within 48 hours of the original departure time. And if they are unable to do so, then they have to rebook you on the next available flight on any airline, including competitors. That is something that often doesn't happen. But if your airline refuses or fails to rebook you on a competitor, I would document it, would not seek a refund of the airfare, because that would terminate your right to alternate transportation, but rather buy a ticket on a competitor and then later submit the bill to the original airline and make them pay for it because they failed to rebook you as required by law.
Do you find most people are aware of this information, of the rights that they have if they find themselves in a situation where perhaps they are looking at another delay or a cancellation and they aren't given that other option within 48 hours?
Unfortunately, many passengers are unaware of their rights, and airlines do take advantage of that. They do take advantage of passengers not knowing what they are entitled to, including rebooking on a competitor. They take advantage of most passengers just not going through the hassle of rebooking themselves on a competitor when the original airline fails to rebook them, and then claiming the expenses from the original airline.
Mm-hmm. We've talked to quite a few people affected by what's happening here at Pearson Airport, including people who tell us they're just trying to get back home to Toronto. They've been waiting several days. They're in another city. In fact, we talked to one passenger who told us they haven't even been given the option of accommodation or anything to cover that accommodation. What would happen in that case? And should someone be given an opportunity to have their hotel covered if there is no flight going out that day?
So currently under the law in Canada, if you're traveling within Canada and you're covered only by their passenger protection regulations, your accommodation and meals would not be covered if we are talking about a cancellation that is outside the carrier's control. On the other hand, if there are flights on competitors and your airline just refuses or fails to rebook you on competitors out of convenience, then it would no longer be outside the carrier's control, so you may be able to claim meals and accommodation as well. But the root of the problem is that Canada has not adopted the European Union's gold standard of passenger protection. In Europe, if this had happened there, then regardless of the reasons for the cancellation, at a bare minimum, all passengers would be receiving meals and accommodation. This is one of the reasons that we advocate and have been advocating for Canada adopting the European Union's gold standard for passenger protection.
Mm-hmm. Gabor Lukacs joining us live this morning. Gabor, thank you for your time and for your take on all this. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me.
Ask at Pearson, or perhaps you're somewhere else trying to get back home and you're looking at several delays or cancellations, just really important to keep documentation of all of that. Also really important, guys, just check the status of your flight. When I arrived here this morning, I took a look at the boards. They actually looked pretty good in the arrivals area, but of course we know things can change, and it is going to take a while for them to get back on track given what they've had to deal with. And there are still the 2 runways closed here at Pearson as a result of where the plane is, where it crash landed, and the investigators who are now accessing that scene. Later on, we're going to hopefully get an opportunity to talk to some of the passengers affected by this, and we'll see if there's any update. At this point, it doesn't look like there is an update on this investigation, but of course, if that changes, we'll let you know. Back to you guys.
All right, that is Courtney Hales live for us this morning at Pearson Airport. Courtney, appreciate the update there. Thank you.